is a warrior's game. Singular encounters with endless possibility.
The Erudition characters, teaching gotcha-brained idiots, aka me, what the word erudition means since 2023. Here is the criteria as always, and speaking of which, we are now halfway through all the pads being ranked. So make sure to check out my earlier videos if you haven't already, and subscribe to see me cover the final few pads. With that being said, let's get started.
Keep up. I move at my own tempo.
Man, of all the units to be this bad, why'd they have to make it Serval? Her design and character are some of the best in the game, and it's stuck to a unit that you'd only ever use if you like her. The only advantage Serval really has over her competition is a really low ult cost, meaning it could be spammed with the help of someone like Qingque or Ho-Ho. But her damage is just lacking, and her dot doesn't really do anything. And on top of all that, the fact that her skill is just a blast attack instead of hitting everyone means that she isn't even really that good in pure fiction, despite being, you know, Erudition. The gacha overlords can be cruel in who they make good and who they make trash, and unfortunately, they gave Serval the short end of the stick. Oh shit, it's Qingque. I guess it's time to do a Qingquelian damage. In all seriousness, Qingque is a sizable step up from Serval in power, but there are still a lot of hoops to jump through to make her really useful. Being a 4-star DPS that doesn't really do anything special besides her damage means that there really isn't a reason to use her unless your account just doesn't have enough carries since maybe you've prioritized supports until now. Her randomness isn't that bad since theoretically you can just reset until things line up, but for the average account, a unit like her can only ever really be a filler unit until your account is more well-rounded. That being said, if you do want to use her, she is for sure viable, but just know that her time in the spotlight as a usable 4-star carry will only continue to be more questionable as the game progresses.
It is a warrior's game. Singular encounters with endless possibility.
Yuan, the man who will wait until the heat death of the universe for the lightning lord to actually do anything. This guy is a very interesting unit that can dish out some very respectable damage, but the pace of this damage is hard capped by lightning lord's speed. Unlike someone like Nunbi, who can be pushed forward, no matter how much you buff Yuan, he will only do this big damage so many times. Barring a support in the future who may or may not support summons, I don't really see him getting much better than where he is now. But the future is uncertain for sure, and I could be wrong, but for now, I see him as a unit with a really low damage ceiling who has a hard time low cycle clearing. Usable? For sure. But I would never really recommend a new account to get him, and I think that says something.
Argenti of the Honor-clad swears to you. The beauty is eternal.
Here it is everyone, we have officially reached the true niche of Erudition, the pure fiction haven. From here on, the main distinguishing factor between these units will not only be how they perform in pure fiction, but how good they are generally for an account to have fully built. In this context, while Argenti is for sure a great carry in pure fiction, he struggles against the competition to really do anything else notable for an account. He existed before the true renaissance of the follow-up attack meta, instead being limited to his energy cost to do consistent attacks. From this, he is likely to fall behind the competition even more so as time progresses, due to how many attacks he can dish out in a given run. But, I mean, this is really just splitting hairs. Every unit from here on can 40k pure fiction in the right context. The main thing holding Argenti back is just his lack of a use for an account past that. And the fact that there are units that are a pretty strict upgrade to him in what he does well further up on this list.
The great Madame Herta, member 83 of the Genius Society, has been targeted in an attack at the space station.
As you probably know, Herta exists as a free unit that can clear pure fiction with the right team setup. Usually when she is paired with another DPS that can help proc her passive, like Himeko, Yuan or Jade. Outside of pure fiction, she is really nothing special at all. So, I mean, she does the exact same function for an account as Argenti, but she is free. And her usage of follow-up attacks means that, on average, she can utilize turbulence buffs more often than him, as follow-up attack buffs are really common in pure fiction. With how much love follow-up Erudition characters have gotten, with the likes of Aventurine, Jade, and Robin, Herta just has more avenues to provide use for an account while not costing anything, giving her the edge over Argenti.
Where are they? It's time for a lesson.
Jesus, look, okay, what do you want me to say? These units just all do the same thing. Jade is just Herta, but better. A follow-up sub-DPS that clears pure fiction incredibly well. What does she do over Herta? More damage, she gives actual stats to the person she's a sub-DPS to, and she can work in other game modes. Not really that well, but better than Herta, that's for sure. If you want to rate Herta higher because she's free, that's honestly fair. But as a unit in isolation, Jade is essentially the ultimate pure fiction insurance that can cover this game mode for an account by herself. Since most people don't really plan around this game mode, having universal answers for both sides is more valuable utility than usual. I'd recommend her over Argenti as she has all the upsides that Herta has thanks to her follow-ups, so she earns this spot on the list.
To seek the final truth. I am Himeko, the Navigator.
I'll be the first to tell you that Jade is overall a better unit in pure fiction. But unlike the last 3 units on this list, Himeko has some uses outside of that mode, while still being an incredibly good unit inside of it. Most notably, Himeko is great against a past, present, and future enemy in a super break comp, and seeing as how that boss will seemingly never leave Memory of Chaos, that niche is incredibly valuable. She is more niche in pure fiction, due to being reliant on enemy weaknesses without an implant, but across the 2 sides, the odds of you being able to pair her up with a unit who can break for her, like Herta or Jade, is pretty high. Also, even more recently, she is pretty usable against the Doomsday Beast in the new Apocalyptic Shadow rotation as well, but that's a more iffy example than the first one. In general, her place in the meta is highly susceptible to the enemy layout, probably more than anyone else on this list, but as of right now, she is pretty usable in every mode, which gives her the edge over the competition at the end of the day. That's everything, go see my other vids, subscribe to here and my TikTok, bye!